A trailer recently dropped for Frieren Beyond Journey's End, and I could not be more excited. Now, granted, when they first announced the adaptation of this manga series, I looked at the art and I'm like, okay, this looks gorgeous. I like the concept, the synopsis they gave, which essentially is about this girl. She is an elf and she is traveling along with the hero. They take out the Demon King, they go back, everybody's celebrating, and then they part ways. And then beyond that point, you sort of get a story being told around Frieren and her desire to sort of understand people around her. Because she's an elf, her race is completely different in how they see things such as mortality, lifespan, what is important in life. And there's a lot of regret that's being told in the story itself as she sort of takes upon herself one of these pupils of one of the heroes' party and travels along with her. And like I said, that had me excited. The concept and the visuals itself of the manga and the art style they had. But it wasn't until I seen this recent trailer they released that I am just beyond myself in excitement, because a couple things came from this. One mainly being the fact that Madhouse is working on it. They have the director that worked on Bocchi the Rock. They also worked on Aka 13. We have the series composition writer that has worked on Aka 13, One Punch Man, the recent Boogie Pop Phantom. It's just got a really great team behind this. And then yes, the trailer itself, they captured it. Like I could not ask for a better capturing of the style and the visuals and the character designs themselves. It looks gorgeous, and I could not be more excited. And what that sort of led me to do is I went into the manga itself and checked out the first 3 chapters. And what I got from that was so much more than the synopsis itself. I don't want to read further because I do want to come into this a little blind. I do want to experience the story told to the adaptation that Madhouse is going to do. But through those first 3 chapters, I am already getting hit with so much emotion and excitement around the concept of the story. One of the main key things being the fact that this is a deep fantasy, purely fantasy story that is set in a particular setting that is not an isekai. It's not a reincarnation. Thank goodness. It's like we get so many fantasies and it's always an isekai. It's always a reincarnation. And while I'm fine with reincarnation and isekais, I watch a lot of them. I'm not against them. There is just something different about people being native to the environment and experiencing the story native to the environment rather than it always being a fish out of water story and everything having to be told to some sort of blank protagonist that we self-insert into. No, this is a story of people within this world dealing with the repercussions and the aspects and the rules of this world. And so far, it still has a sense of discovery in there despite that, because, like I said earlier, this is a story being told from the perspective of an elf who doesn't understand other races, and she's trying to understand them, and the limitations that are put upon those people. So already, you have me on fantasy, just strictly fantasy. And then that sort of transitions into some deeper plot lines that I have always loved. I have always loved a story that is being told about the restrictions of mortality and the desires for immortality and the perspectives of somebody who has that and doesn't understand it. That's where it gets really juicy. I love that type of storytelling, and we're gonna get from this elf who, again, technically with most stories about elves, they live a long time. And so even though they just finished this journey, 10 years seems so short for her, yet everybody that's with her is like, that was a long time, what are you talking about? And then following their adventure together, she goes, oh, well, I'll be back in 50 years. And this is shocking to all of them because they're like, wait, 50 years is a long time. Probably won't see each other. Again, it's that lack of understanding of what she has and the limitations they have. But then that kind of turns into a deeper plot line in that she's discovering, yeah, they're all old now. And yes, some of them have passed away. This life that I have is different than theirs. And again, slowly understanding that difference between the two of them, I think is going to be a concept that already within the first 3 chapters, I'm hooked. I love it. I love how it's presenting it because it's not a simple, oh, okay, now I understand it. It's her slowly understanding these things. She's not oblivious to it, but at the same time, she never attempted to understand it before. And I think the story, as it goes along, is going to be her finding that understanding. And the sad thing that comes of it, and I think this is the thing that's going to be, it's already kind of hitting me really deep inside, the emotions are already hitting me, is that when she starts to understand that, she has that deep regret. I wish that I understood them better. I wish that I knew that they had this limitation. I wish that I spent more time with them. Slowly discovering her experiences with them weren't just a passing fad. Because again, the passage of time is so short for her, the impact is less than what it would be for a human. When we have a moment where we spend a year dealing with something, it means a lot because it's one, at probably for most people, 80th of our life. It's a huge chunk of our life. But again, from her perspective, that's a blip. That's a blink of an eye. And so she didn't take it as impactful as they did. And again, seeing that her discovering that and having that regret is tragic, but at the same time impactful as you read through it. And again, like I said, just 3 chapters, it's already hitting me. If it can grab me this much in this 3 chapters, it has me excited for a full series of this. I cannot wait for it. Honestly, To Your Eternity did attempt to go into the storyline, the idea of somebody outside the mortality of humankind, understanding it and going through that passage of time. But unfortunately for To Your Eternity, it kind of started from a baseline of pure neutrality. Like this thing had zero emotion and understanding of the world itself. Whereas I think with Frieren, she is an elf, she sort of understands things. She just has to learn to advance that mindset of what she thinks of things. She's going to quickly understand emotions. She's going to quickly understand regrets that she has and how much impact people actually had on her and quickly understand it. Not, again, spend thousands of chapters slowly learning emotions. She just needs to look at things differently. That's really the key thing. She has emotions. She has understandings of things. She just has to look at it from a different perspective before it's impactful to her. And then realize what things are important in the world and understand other races besides herself. The other cool thing that's sort of doing is that, of course, as she's journeying around, she's sort of seeing the impact that they had on other people's lives. And again, because she's so oblivious to this passage of time, she doesn't understand how impactful it is. So as she's going to be journeying around, she'll see the impacts that she had on people. Okay, well, here's this lady that was saved by the hero way back here. Now she's an old lady, and she, of course, really greatly respects and appreciates the hero. And how, again, Frieren will have to sort of do something to aid in her passing away. I think the key trigger point that it sort of has, and this is soft spoilers for like the 2nd chapter, is this idea that she does go visit the healer of her party. And that person essentially is telling her, I need to be immortal. I'm afraid of dying. And again, she doesn't quite understand this because she's going to live for so long. And so he's going to try to have her sort of figure out a way in order to prolong his life or give him immortality through these scriptures. And at the same time, it's sort of tricking her into meeting somebody and opening up her heart to somebody else that he really wants her to take care of. Again, learning those emotions, understanding people around her, and not just walking by. And thankfully, while it's not the major focus of it, it does have a little bit of comedy kind of thrown in there as well. I cannot wait to see how many times they animate Frieren slumped over inside of a mimic box. It seems to be her ongoing joke, is her head first inside of a mimic box, their butt hanging out of it. Or her being stuck in a pile of books in the same method. It does have a nice little kind of sprinkle of comedy in there, but it doesn't feel like it's forced. It doesn't feel like it's forcing that comedy in there. It just kind of happens naturally, which is honestly, for a story like this that's going to be a lot more impactful, a lot more emotional, I think it's important not to go out of their way to have a comedy beat, but rather just let it happen naturally by happenstance that she apparently is very clumsy when it comes to mimics. But yes, the trailer so far looks absolutely stunning. It looks so visually good. Again, like I said, capturing the art style. It's not a 1-for-1 to the manga style, but I think they did a good job of kind of transitioning it into an animated format. Although, I'm not a big fan of how the dwarf looks. It is technically similar to the manga, so I guess they keep that pretty solid as well, but it's just like a style for the dwarves that I don't really necessarily like. But the music's already hitting. Oh my gosh, the music's going to be so beautiful. The music's being done by Evan Call, and he's done music for like Violet Evergarden. My gosh, like, yes, yes. Love Alternative. Hakame Tomikochi, which I think is going to be like very similar to the setting that this is in, very more fantasy. It's just the more that I look into the staff of this, the more it's like, this is gonna be so good. I should not be hyping myself up. I really shouldn't be doing this, but like I said, just everything seems to be lining up that this is going to be a great story. It's going to capture immortality, mortality, the limits of humankind, regrets, the hero's journey itself, pure fantasy, no isekai, no reincarnation. It's just And then the main character, Frieren, she looks absolutely gorgeous. I've already looked at a lot of art of her, and I'm like, she looks so good. I think besides Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation Season 2 and possibly Oshinoko, this is sort of fighting with Oshinoko. This is easily one of my most excited shows of this year. And yes, fall 2023. Please don't delay it. I want this now. But yeah, that's what I'm super excited about. I would love to hear from you guys down below if this is something that you're checking out, or if you're just now learning about it. Let me know what you guys think of it so far. I've heard a little bit of whispers from the people that have read the manga that it does sort of drag out at some point, but I think with Madhouse, and there's a possibility they can kind of shift things around. I think either way, I'll probably be jumping into the manga, if not before the anime comes out, but definitely once it actually does come out, I'll be super excited to just dive right into it if it turns out to be as great as it has been for the first 3 chapters. But yeah, let me know down in the comments down below what you guys think of this, and if you're going to be checking it out. If you're new to this channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. I greatly appreciate everybody that supports the channel, and y'all take care.